What is up, everybody? It is I, the Q Dog, and in this quick 30-minute live episode, we're going to talk what?
Allegedly.
In this quick 30-minute episode, we're going to talk about being at a crossroad. And if you feel like you're stuck, what is some kind of a tool that can help you get out of that. And so I will, and Jeannie will be right back. Welcome back to another episode of Man versus Marriage. This is an official, unofficial, live video that I'm looking forward to bringing. So as we get started, I am your host, Quincy Moran, and in the Moran family studio is my lovely wife of 25 years and counting, Jeanne Moran. Jeannie, what's up?
What's up, baby?
Yeah, we're here to talk about you guys, if you're feeling stuck, what the heck are you supposed to do about that? Before we get started, I want to make sure you know, go to quincymoran.com. You'll see all the things that we have going on there. And this feels a little more official than I wanted it to, but this is the way I start the podcast. I'm going to do it today anyway. But go ahead and check out quincymoran.com, especially quincymoran.com/apparel, where you can go and pick up some cool shirts. And we've got all kinds of shirts. We've got a lot of shirts, very powerful shirts. A lot of people say they're great shirts, like the flagship Man versus Marriage. Not born ready, built ready. You can pick up some Family Famous over there. And also the notorious Hustle Mania, brought to you by the Q Dog. So go check that out. And for those of you who don't know how to get in touch with me, which you all really should, it's Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com. So I'm going to leave the email up there. And we're going to talk a little bit. Really, it's just like testimony time. And then I'm going to advise you on some of the things that we do. So let's get right into it. Do you feel like you're stuck? Like you don't know what to do? Do you feel like you are at a crossroads and maybe you have paralysis by analysis because you feel like you have to make the perfect decision in order to move forward? Have you ever felt like that, honey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you do about it? I'm going to talk about what we do about it here and also tell you that I've got at least one situation in my life that I'm not going to talk about publicly, but I'm going to apply this particular method to it. And then at some point I'll come back and talk about it. But if you want, go ahead and throw a comment below and we'll say what's up. We'll give you a shout out. You have any questions, go ahead and ask. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about this. You find yourself at what you felt like is a crossroad. You don't know what you want for your future, or you have big decisions to make. Here is one of the things that I have done and I have advised my children to do. I've advised friends to do. And this is something that you can relate to, honey, very well because you are an author. If you're going through something and you don't know exactly what to do, you feel like you're at a fork in the road and you're not sure what to do, I'm going to give you this piece of advice, and it goes like this. Step outside of your life, okay? If you read books or you love to watch movies, step outside of your life and look at you as if you are the main character in the story. Look at yourself as if you're the main character in the movie or in the book. And then try your best to look at the situation like stepped outside of it. And then, like, you know, when you watch one of those scary movies, even if it's, you know, whimsical or, you know, it's a play on words or something. I don't know what I'm looking for, but you can always tell the main character what he or she should do or shouldn't do. Like, no, don't go in that door. Or why are you walking when you should be running? Don't run that way. Don't make this decision. Girl, you should leave his A2S, you know, like those kinds of things. It's always easier, even though the script is written for the movie or it's written for the book, you read ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this tool is something that you kind of take yourself out of it. And so we've had some of our kids and friends at certain points, and myself at like a critical place in their life. And it's like, I don't know what to do. And so I give this advice. Imagine Yourself is the main character in the story. Try to gain some perspective of what's going on in the main character's life. And then ask yourself, what would I tell that main character to do? What advice would I give the main character? And then you take that particular advice and you write it out. Get it all out. Get it all out of here. Get it all out of your heart. Write that advice out in a journal, on a piece of paper. Get it out somewhere. If you're a man or a woman of faith, then take that particular thing, take it before the Lord and say, Lord, what do you think about this? Because this is the way that that I think I should go. Test it against your faith. And there are times in life where you hear God and you know the direction that you're moving. And then there are times in your life where you feel like you can't hear his voice at all. And that's where one of these mechanisms can really help you. Now, when you're writing a story, honey, your characters come up against very difficult situations. So I don't know what you rely on to get them through that, or how you plan the story out per se. I get some behind the scenes because we storyboard together and we talk about strategy. But I'd be interested to see what you think of that scenario, and have you taken that approach?
To make myself the character?
Yeah.
I can't really say that I have.
Wonderful. No, I'm saying this is wonderful.
I don't try to look at it from the perspective of if I was talking to somebody else, what would I tell them? If I'm stuck, I write out why I'm stuck. Like, what is it that I'm struggling with? And then I go back and read over it to kind of see, because sometimes when you're just like brain dumping, things come out that you didn't know you were really struggling with. You just kind of let all the air out on paper. And sometimes I'll figure out, well, that's why you're feeling that way, because this. So I don't really make myself, I don't do the character thing. I try to get out of my own head. I try to get everything written out on paper, take a look at it, examine it. And then if I still can't figure it out, and I still feel like I'm not certain about what I'm seeing, usually I'll take it to you, or I have two other people that I trust pretty close that I can say, look, this is what's going on. This is what I'm feeling. What are your thoughts in it? The character approach is difficult for me because I do write stories. And so to kind of look at it, I can imagine various outcomes without meaning to.
Well, I challenge you, and I'm going to, like I say, I'm going to do this myself. And I challenge you guys listening, even if you're watching on video, you're listening on audio, I'm going to challenge you to take this approach.
Most of the time, if I'm stuck in writing, we just blow up the clubhouse.
Well, metaphorically, there might be a time for that. Mm-hmm. And if you find yourself stuck in a place, or it's like I continue to go through the same thing and I don't know what direction to take this time, I'm telling you, it's possible. Some of the brightest minds in the self-development space too, like Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, they do things where they visualize, even Joe Dispenza. So what I'm asking you to do is to challenge yourself. I like to listen to books. I'm more of a movie guy. Like I watch Rocky Balboa, and when I'm done with the movie, I'm like, yeah, Adrian, Mick, okay,
Hunter.
I want a box. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I connect with the character. Well, here's a unique perspective that you can have where you imagine yourself and your story from your perception on what's happening, and what advice would you give the main character? And then you take that, you transform it into a bit of a story with some steps on this is what I believe I should do. And then you take your own advice. And I want to challenge you and myself and you, the listeners, just take one situation in life. Now, look, there's no guarantee that it's going to work, but there is a high probability that you're going to allow yourself to get unstuck. And what happens is the further you go down the road, the more your perception begins to change. like your perspective starts to grow because now you're getting closer to whatever this particular point in the journey is going to be. So this can be a mechanism to get yourself moving again in a positive direction. Now, look, I was I was talking to somebody that we know, and they were getting into what I believe was a bad relationship, and all the signs were there.
Red flags, red flags, red flags.
All the signs were there. And of course, it's easy for me to see because I'm on the outside, and we have listeners do this. We have them email us their story, and then we will read it to them out loud on the program. So it gives them an opportunity to step outside of the emotion that's connected to their story and get another point of view. And that, in gaining that perspective, can be like very, very beneficial. And it has helped many, many people move forward in their life and their relationships just on this podcast alone. So I presented it to this particular person and I said, hey, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that are going on that I see are deeply concerning with the decision you're going to make. I said, okay, take yourself out of it. Put the decisions that you're making in this order, the order that you've already made. And then imagine yourself as the main character in a movie. And what advice would you give that character? And this person said, I can see what you're saying and you're actually right, but I've got to go figure things out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point I was able to say, okay, well, now I can take my hands, off of this situation. I've given you a much more effective perception of what's going on. I've given you another vantage point, and you are making this decision because you want to. But now you're more deeply informed about the situation, and sometimes that can make it better. But all too often we get in our lives, we get to the point, and I say we, and I'm actually talking to me, where every decision has to be perfect. And so here I am looking at what should I do, and then I will take the scenario and I will move, because I'm a very futuristic, like ideation type person. I'll take it out and run it to its worst case scenario, or I'll take it and make it, put it to its best case scenario, but I'll just keep on running the loop of what could happen. And that's where you start to get stuck. And being stuck can not just affect whatever the specific area is in your life, it can begin to affect the other areas of your life. And if you get stuck, there's a high probability, like 99.99999%, that you're going to start to regress. And so I think it's important just to do this exercise. And I'm asking you, the listener, if you need help with this, you have the email address, quincy@mvsmpodcast.com. Take some time to journal what it is you're going through and what choices are in front of you. Honey, I'm asking you to do this. I'm going to do it myself. And then take yourself out of it. Like emotionally, it's hard, but emotionally disconnect from the circumstance. And then imagine it as if it were a movie. And it's the girl that's going to be walking through the door that's covered in blood, and there's bloody footsteps, the whole scenario. Do not go in the door. I just got to go in the door. It reminds me of that commercial where all the teenagers are like hiding out in outside of the barn, and there's a running vehicle to the right, and it's like, let's run in the barn where all the chainsaws are. And one of them's like, are you sure we shouldn't get in that running vehicle and leave? And they're like, no. That's obviously just making fun of those particular movies. But I'm telling you, this can be an effective tool. Now, I don't want you to think that because you do this, it's going to end perfectly. The goal here is to help you get another step, like get unstuck. Don't worry about it, honey. It's okay. The goal is to help you at the crossroad. And don't Don't get trapped in the idea that you have to make the perfect choice. The closer you get to a certain point, like I said before, the more perspective you start to have. Something that is 1,000 feet away looks a whole lot different than something that is 500 feet away. And so taking a step in the proper direction, and I'm not asking you to go out there and be crazy like Thelma and Louise. I'm not saying do that.
Dang it, Andy.
Logically, what would you tell the character to do? Write out the scenario, and then the final piece of that would be to write some action steps and have the courage to make a move. Now, this can be for anything. It can be in relationships. It can be in, health and wellness. It can be in finances. It can be in your faith. It could be in your career, whatever it is. I'm encouraging you to take a step, get outside of the frame. And that's where we develop this tool that we use on the podcast called Standing Outside the Frame. So if you're in the picture, it's like near impossible to see the painting. So in order to see the painting, you've got to do some reflecting. You've got to step outside of the picture, turn back around, and look at it from another point of view. Because in life, you have friends that will help you. They'll give you advice that they can see and fix all your problems. Like we all have those people in our life that they have ultimate chaos going on and they're stuck in their own rut of BS. But when you're going through something, they can look at you and say, oh, it's so easy. I can fix all your problems. And it's like, why don't you get started on your own problems? I appreciate your concern. And if you can tell me everything in my life that I can do to get better, why don't you go take your own advice? Yeah. Autism up there jumping. Exercise, cardio.
She's excited.
So once again, I look forward to hearing from you, the listener. And I really like doing these brief videos because I have the tendency to monologue and carry things on for way too long. Like an episode Jeanne and I were doing that's coming out not too long from now. I anticipated it being like a 30-minute episode. It turned into an hour. So
that
don't forget
to us a lot.
It does. Don't forget to comment below. And if you're just joining us, I'm going to wrap this up here real quick. We've only got a few minutes left. I committed to a 30-minute gig here. But look, if you're going through something, if you feel like you're stuck, number one, I want to tell you that your life has purpose, that you matter, and that you were made to do something great with your life. I want you to believe that. And from where you're at, that might be very hard for you to see and for you to believe because you have been getting your butt kicked. I understand. I have been there. If you feel like you're stuck and you're at a crossroad, I want to encourage you to take this particular approach as we wrap up. I want you to take yourself out of your situation. Look at your situation as if it was a movie. If you like to read, it's a book. And then imagine yourself as the main character. Talk about the scenarios that are in front of you. And then in your mind's eye, if you like the movie option, watch yourself as the main character, follow that advice, and watch it play out. Write it all down. And then I want you to take some action items, some steps, and write the next 1 or 2 steps down. Don't overwhelm yourself with so many different things that you need to do. It's the KISS principle. What does KISS stand for, honey?
Keep it simple, stupid.
No! Dadgummit, that's the Italian version.
No, it's not. It's my dad's AA version. Keep it simple, stupid.
All right. Mine's a little nicer. It's keep it super simple. Keep it super simple. That's the KISS principle from the Q Dog. But write that out. Now,
you have yours, I have mine. Whatever.
Here's the other part of that. Here's what's game changer as well. Is if you have faith in Jesus Christ, then you can take these plans before him and you can say, vet this plan out. Lord, I would ask you to vet this plan out. Holy Spirit, give me the wisdom on how to walk this out. But this is a tool that can truly help you take the first step at the crossroads, give you some direction, and help you move forward. How do I know that? Because we've helped, I don't know how many listeners. I really, maybe I should count that up at some point. How many listeners we've helped with this particular mechanism. But it's probably greater than 30 or 40. Let's lowball it. Maybe about 25 listeners. One of them on our 2 episodes ago, dramatic change in his life in 4 weeks. I don't even want to say dramatic. I'm going to say dynamic because that's a better word. I don't know the difference in both of those, or maybe they mean close to the same thing, but there was a dynamic shift in his life and his relationship. What are you laughing about?
You.
Why?
You don't know the difference between dynamic
And dramatic.
and dramatic.
Yeah, which one is more grandiose?
Well, what does dynamic mean?
Like sudden and emergent. Booming.
Dynamic is a balance.
Dynamic is a balance? Hold on a minute. We got a couple minutes here. Hold on. We're going to the define dynamic. Constant change, activity, or progress. Positive attitude and full of energy and new ideas. So I think I used it in the proper term.
Okay.
Did I not?
Sure.
Now you're talking
when you say dynamic, to me, I think of a relationship and the balance.
Okay. When I think of it, I'm thinking about movement, about change, about boom, growth. Now,
I'll remember that later.
Hey, I'll help you. Let's go here and let's define dramatic.
Oh, I have so many words I want to put there. And faces.
Yeah. Well, if you've ever raised teenagers, you know all about that. Of course, I was a teenager at one point, and I was pretty dramatic myself. Sudden and striking, relating to drama and a performance. So I think dynamic would dynamic would probably be the better use of the term there. And I'm going to tell you, for this particular Jack in his life, I checked in with him today. He's going to write for an update, and things are continuing to progress in a positive manner. And that's because it's a product of this particular technique. I need to use it more for myself. And I've used it for the listeners, but it's time for me in one specific experience that I'm going through, which you're shaking your head, so you know. It's a humongous situation. So I'm going to scenario it out, and I'm going to write what I would advise the character to do. And then I'm going to take action. I'm going to put action items on there, and I'm going to go to the game changer bonus round, and I'm going to pray and say, Lord, where's your heart in this? Does this look right? And then I'm going to take some steps. After I take some steps, do I have to stay according to the plan rigidly, or can I assess and redefine which way I'm going? Yeah, I have the freedom to do that. I do, unless it's like, this is the path, divinely inspired, this is the path, then you stay the course. But I felt it important to share this on a live video. I felt it important to share it with you because it has been such a benefit to us and to our listeners around the world, because we have done this worldwide now. And so if you have something that you're struggling with, I encourage you to use this protocol. If you need some help, you have the email, quincy@mvsmpodcast.com. And that is what I would encourage you to do, to email us and let us help you. Now, in the closing moments here, I want to encourage you that if you feel like you don't matter, if you feel like you're inconsequential and you're struggling to figure out what life is about, let me tell you truthfully that you do matter. How do I know that? Because it's a lesson that I've been learning from God about how much I do matter, because I am somebody's son. I am someone's husband. I'm someone's father. I'm someone's friend. I'm somebody's sibling. And the idea that you can make a positive impact on one person's life, that can be eternal in this walk of life. So I'm encouraging you just to take that small win and know that you matter to someone. If no one else, you definitely matter to us. And that's why we're doing this, to help you. So utilize the email address. We're here to help. We're here to help you look at where you are within this crossroad and get you moving again. And then we'll help you as you go along the way. It's a simple email. Hey, this is what happened. Great. Have you thought about X, Y, and Z? No, I haven't. Thank you very much. Okay. Keep on walking. And then at some point, if you want to, we'll go ahead and read your story here on the podcast. We'll keep you anonymous. If you're a dude, you're Jack. If you're a chick, you're Jill. It's that easy. And then we will help kind of guide you through it. And look, if it's been a while since you've seen Jeannie and I, maybe 10 or 15 years, you may know us for who we used to be.
We don't do that no more.
Here's what's really cool. And some of you, that are on Facebook, etc., know me for the dad and the husband that I was, say 15 years ago. And Jeannie and I really took the challenge to redefine our relationship, to grow our relationship, and to make our marriage great. That's what we signed up for. And so we're not the people that we used to be. We are definitely a better version now than we've ever been. And we utilized those mistakes in the past and the experience over the last 15 years to create something very, very special between us and with our family and for this podcast. So I encourage you to let us know how we can help and serve you. And for now, that is it for this particular episode. Honey, what you got, man?
Nothing more than what you just said.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Very deep
You're
and
on
insightful.
Timestamp.
I am on a timestamp, and it's coming close.
So is my girl who's upstairs stomping her feet because she's hungry.
She's
hungry, Mom.
It's food time.
Yes, it is.
At the Moran household. Let's go get some. All right. She is Jeannie Moran. I'm Quincy Moran. Make sure you run on over to quincymoran.com/apparel. Grab the Man vs. Marriage shirt. Grab the not born ready, but built ready. Check out Family Famous. Check out some of this Hustle Mania. There's so much to choose from there. We would love for you to go grab some and then go out and start impacting culture in a very positive way. And for that is this episode of Man versus Marriage. She's Jeannie and I'm the Q Dog, and we are out.